Well, and he just continues to say nothing. He's Pat Shurmur in a press conference. Kevin Stefanski is like if Pat Shurmur and Freddie Kitchens had a baby.
Oh, man. Those aren't guys you want to be.
Speaking of Freddie Kitchens, I'll venture to say this. I think if you start really looking at Stefanski and look at his body of work, I do think it's fireable on a lot of cases, and I'll go over a couple of those things here in a second. But I will say this: I think the only reason Kevin Stefanski still has a job, is because, like, I think if he looked like Freddie Kitchens and talked like Freddie Kitchens,
it's because he's handsome.
Well, I just think he plays a different personality, right? He looks smart. He sounds smart. People think he's thoughtful. If he sounded like a dumb cowboy, they'd have been like, what are you doing? You couldn't figure out how to use Odell Beckham. You ran him out of town.
Yep.
You couldn't find a spot for Jarvis Landry. He was unhappy and had to leave. Let's not even talk about Baker because I think he's beside the point right now. But you can't figure out to give Nick Chubb the ball 20 times a game. You can't figure out that your most impactful plays on offense this year came when Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were on the field together.
No.
And so you think about players-only meetings in week 2 of the season. You think about the toxicity in the locker room last year with the receivers and your quarterback. What are you managing? And in 3 years, you've made the playoffs once. You're going to miss it twice. And when you watch that team on Sunday, ask yourself, or on Saturday this week, ask yourself, like, does that team look like they want to play for this coaching staff? That team looks disinterested. They have for a while. And again, I go back to the things that aren't even on the field. The locker room issues that we've heard of, the guys not being accountable, the players only meetings, the fact that you couldn't figure out how to work Odell Beckham into this offense. It was really, really easy to blame Baker for all these problems last year, but none of those problems went away. David Njoku wanted a trade. Kareem Hunt wanted a trade. Why don't these guys want to be here? The only reason we kept them was because we said, hey, sorry, you're under contract. We're not going to trade you.
Yep.
But they didn't want to be here. Look, I think he'll be a good offensive coordinator somewhere else.
I think he's a fine offensive coordinator. I just think that
he's not a head coach.
What he's proven in Cleveland is that he can't handle everything that goes with being a head coach somewhere.
No, when you're the head coach, you have to be the CEO.
And he's not that.
Everybody thinks CEO is an easy job.
If all he has to focus on is being the offensive coordinator, I think he's fine.
Yeah, I think he would be. I think he would be fine, and I think that's how he built a reputation in Minnesota, right? Like he was good at that side of the game. But you can't not care about the other phases of the game when you're the head coach, and you can't not care about leadership and culture and just your players having the right attitude and discipline coming into each and every week. And this team, week in and week out, and again on Sunday, had 10 penalties and 100 yards, and you can't win games like that.
So I guess, I mean, we've I think we've hit on this subject enough, and I think we are going to just go ahead and move on. Even though we're still fired up, we're still upset. We're going to move on.
I'm not ready to move on.
All right, keep going.
You don't get to be a head coach just because you call yourself a head coach. He's an offensive coordinator. If I like to take pictures of hot girls on the beach, that doesn't make me a photographer. It makes me a creep.
It does make you a creep. That's weird, man. Don't
Kevin
do that.
Stefanski is a creep. He's a creep pretending to be a head coach.
Dang. It feels bad, Kevin.
Now I'm done.